Hi, this is Andy Braitman. We're back in the studio. We're going to, again, in this game of viscosity, of getting to work a painting from the bottom up rather than from side to side. That heavy coat of gesso we just finished in the first segment was the first attempt at getting a viscous, an aggressive surface so we can paint on top of that. This is another aggressive surface that'll let us work on top of that. And I need all kinds of stuff. I need spatulas and mesh and cheesecloth and mud, this stuff here. And what we're going to do is take it and put a coat. Archivally, this is disgusting. This will not last. I'll be dead before it falls off, but it will fall off. We want to spread this out quickly because it dries rapidly, and there'll be just a bucket out there for everyone to use. So get some out, put it on your canvas, and then pass the bucket to the next person. If you need more, we'll get more. Now look what happened here. The bar that's under that stretcher is presenting a problem for me, so I'm going to put the spackle down, get a piece of paper towel, roll it, make a nice little, some people, I won't go into the toilet paper analogy, folders versus crunchers. Put that right back here. So now I'm able to spread that without getting that bar mark. And what I'm trying to do is cover the surface as rapidly as possible. I'm going to leave little holes, and I want as thin a coat as I can cover, but leaving it thick enough to allow for impressions from these very thin materials. So we're going to impress into these thin materials, into the spackle, these thin materials. So it doesn't have to be very thick. But the thicker it is, the more fun it is. But the thicker it is, the longer it'll take to dry. So we want to get to this today, so we don't want to make it too thick. And use that edge to pull it off. And I'm going to start to slow down as I get it covered, because now the spatula is not used to make surface. The spatula is used to spread the mud. To make the surface, you're going to use these different meshes and materials. So your job with the spackle and the spatula is to spread and control the thickness. And I don't know how long this has taken so far, maybe about 3 minutes. But if you can get this done in about 5 to 10 minutes, it should be wet enough to still impress these materials into it. And of course, this is not a cheap Joe's canvas, so a cheap Joe's canvas would be much tauter than this. Again, we're not trying, can you see the surface I'm building up here? You guys can talk. If you can see the surface, I'm not really after that. I'm trying to just smooth this across like a faux finisher or a fresco artist would smooth the surface across. I'm going to come back on top and make all the interesting marks. You can come back and do a few things, but for the most part, we don't want to do that.
Do you want to cover the canvas completely?
I'm going to try to. Leaving little holes, Claudia. It's not like an even layer. And the trick is to see how thick it is, because it's the thickness that's the drying time. So that's more than enough. It's pretty thin, actually. All right, so I've gotten it to that stage. Ow. Then this is the fun part. This is actually my favorite one. And I'm not sure what to do with it, but you just sort of lay it in and impress it into that wet mud and lift it out. And what you're doing is making little nooks and crannies in your English muffin to catch the butter. And the more nicks and crannies you give it, the more interest you'll have. And depending on how thick the surface is, you may need some help to get a nice impression. And there's something really attractive about a regular pattern that lets us work more loosely and more creatively on top of it. So I'm trying, you notice most of the materials I use have a regular pattern to them rather than an irregular pattern. And it's the regular pattern that lets us be looser. So I'll do the same thing even with the cheesecloth. We have all this stuff cut for you. And again, you don't want to leave fingerprints, but you do want to push hard enough to make an impression. Yeah, I like that the best. I like it all the best. And this is just a lot of fun. What you're doing at this point is a very crafty beginning. And remember, like in anything else when painting, if it becomes too mechanical, if you do too many things the same way, we're losing some of the beauty of the product. So I want to make sure that I'm trying a different variety of applications. And to that end, there's even a roller back there somewhere that's got like looks like a torture device for somebody. It's got a hairy, stiff roller on it. Yeah, thanks, Betty. This is like, thank you, Elaine. This is like wormholes, so you can come across and just sort of give yourself this is just areas to catch that drip that are regular, and will provide a surface. And I'm working just quickly enough so that I can get a pattern in and still let it start, there we go, and still let it start to dry. And one more cheesecloth. All right, that's it. Hi guys, we're back at Braitman Studio, and we've got a little audience here. So going from right to left, we've got Kay, we've got Mary, we've got Claudia, we've got Elaine, we've got Barbara, we've got Kelly, we've got Betty, we've got Paige, we've got Cynthia and Pete, and they're here to play with us today. And what I'm going to do is demonstrate what to do on this surface that we haven't done yet. So this is Gamsol, and this is raw sienna and a dirty brush, and this is alizarin crimson or madder lake. And I'm going to get rid of that dirty brush because I don't want that green in there. I'll wipe it off. Okay, so on top of this surface that we've just prepared, what I'm going to do is get enough liquid. I'm going to impose on someone. Can you reach a little tin, Mary? Thank you. That was Mary. Thank you, Mary. Take a bow. So I'm going to get enough liquid so that we can start to move this translucent color across the surface and see how it reacts to the nooks and crannies that are there. And I did not get a very translucent color. Try that again. That's more what we're looking for. Do you see the difference in the translucency there? So what we're looking for is a way, it's sort of like I've made English muffins, and we're spreading butter across that surface. And what I'm looking for is for the pigment to sit into those nooks and crannies. So it gets exciting from the beginning. And I'm using just a series of warm and a cool color. And I'm in a mess here because I used a dirty brush. And we're just going to come back across and try to get this moving. Now, you want to use enough liquid, and this is Gamsol or an odorless thinner, so that it absorbs into the mud very rapidly. But you don't want to use so much that it drips past and onto the easel, because then you get too much in the environment, and we don't want to be breathing all that stuff, particularly in a classroom setting. So I'll spread as much as I can, and see the surface, and see how that surface reacts to that blending. So I still have areas of thickness and areas of thinness. I'm not looking for a really bright color because it's just an underpainting. I am looking to saturate and cover the surface. And I'm going to do it in different directions. Oh, now that's that alizarin crimson. That's really pretty. And you can see it when it's wet, it's a lot prettier than when it's dry. And so this is our goal today. This is what we're looking for, is an interesting surface before we ever get started. And you'll find interest where that paint settles into those crevices. So that's what we're looking for, is the paint settling into the crevices. And when you get it to the point where it looks comfortable, we'll just set it down flat and it'll just settle into the surfaces of the mud that we've made. And I'm going to finish that out right now. And so when we put this mud on, our goal is to create as much variety as we can so we can see different concentrations of paint. I really like these little patterns here, and I like this. And one of the students actually left the piece of the cheesecloth in the canvas, and that worked well too. Put it right into the mud. It's great. So that's our goal right there. No more, no less. And once that's done, I'll just, maybe a little more. I lied. And this is the fun part of the painting process where you just have to sit and watch it happen. And you can see where the mud is and where the impressions are. You get different surfaces. I don't see a lot of that cheesecloth though. I wonder if this was mine, if I stole somebody's. All right, well that's it.